Good morning, dear friend. As the first golden light begins to rise and touch the edge of the earth, a stillness settles over the world. It is that sacred hour before the noise begins, before the world demands our attention, before the rush of responsibility steals our breath. There is something holy about this moment. In the hush of early morning, when the dew still rests on the grass, and the sky is brushed in gentle shades of promise, heaven feels closer. The heart is softer, and the soul, though often tired, dares to hope. Somewhere right now, someone is waking up not to the beauty of morning, but to the weight of survival. Their pillow is damp from the tears of the night. Their chest is tight with anxiety. Perhaps you know this feeling all too well. Perhaps you have opened your eyes only to remember the pain you fell asleep with, a medical diagnosis that changed everything, a broken relationship that left you feeling unseen, the loss of someone you loved more than words. Or maybe it is not one thing. Maybe it is the heaviness that lingers for reasons you cannot explain. You are still standing, but barely. Still breathing, but wary. Still hoping, but unsure how long you can hold on. If that is you this morning, know this: you are not alone. The ache in your chest is not ignored. The silent cry that never leaves your lips is still heard. There is a sacred invitation waiting for you right now. Not an answer to all your questions, not a quick solution to your struggle, but something deeper, something eternal. A conversation that begins not with perfection, but with presence. This is your moment to begin again, not by pretending you are fine, not by hiding your fears, but by bringing your whole heart into the light. Because there is a God who sees you, not just the version of you that smiles in front of others, but the quiet, atching places no one else knows. He does not turn away from your pain. He does not grow weary of your questions. He does not wait for you to have it all together. Instead, he invites you to meet him in the rawness of your reality, to come just as you are. This morning prayer is not a script. It is not a checklist. It is not a performance. It is a journey, one that begins with honesty and leads to transformation. A journey through fear and back to peace, through sorrow and back to joy, through emptiness and back to wholeness. And along the way, you will not walk alone. The power of prayer is not in the words themselves, but in the heart that speaks them, and the God who listens. Faith is not about never struggling. Faith is about choosing to believe, even in the darkness, that light still exists, that healing is possible, that hope is not just a word, but a presence that walks beside you. So if you have come to this quiet morning with a trembling soul or a restless mind, do not resist the invitation. Let this time be sacred. Let it be real. You do not need to carry the weight alone anymore. You do not need to have the right words. You only need a willing heart. Take a breath. Let your defenses fall, and allow your spirit to lean in. You are seen. You are loved. You are not forgotten. Let us begin this holy conversation together. Dear Heavenly Father, I come to you this morning not with grand words or polished thoughts, but with a heart that feels heavy and hollow. I do not know how to dress this H in poetry, So I will simply place it before you as it is, raw, unfiltered, real. I wake today with the kind of tired that sleep does not fix, the kind of emptiness that food does not fill, the kind of silence that even noise cannot drown. I look around and everything seems still, but inside, something aches for movement, for meaning, for more. I do not know if it is sorrow or fear or just the weight of living, but it presses on me like a quiet fog that I cannot name. There are mornings, Father, when the world feels too wide and I feel too small, when the rising sun does not bring hope, but only a reminder of another day I am expected to survive, when my chest tightens before I even swing my feet out of bed. And this morning is one of those. It feels like I am standing in the middle of a desert. Cracked ground beneath me, and nothing around me but stillness and dry air. No signs of life, no hint of rain. Just me and the aching truth that I do not have what it takes. Not today. Maybe not ever. I whisper into this quiet space because I do not know how to scream anymore. I have run out of loud. I have run out of strength to fight the silence. But you, Father, you hear the unspoken. You read the language of weary hearts, and so I bring mine to you now. Because I have nowhere else to go that will understand this without asking me to explain it. I am not asking for all the answers. I do not need you to make everything make sense right now. But I need to know that I am not invisible, that my hurt is not too much, that my emptiness is not something you will turn away from. I need to feel that somewhere, in this great mystery of you, there is a place where I am known. Maybe I should feel stronger by now. Maybe I should be better at this by now. But here I am again fragile, unsure, clinging to threads of belief that feel worn thin. And yet I still come, because something inside me refuses to let go. There is a spark, however faint, that believes you are still there, that you are still listening, that you are still good. I do not know how to ask for what I need when I do not even know what is, but I believe you already see the corners of me that I have not been brave enough to explore. You see the places where my soul limps and my spirit hides. You see the memories that still sting and the hopes I have buried because I feared they were too fragile to live. Dear God, if I am a garden, I feel untended. If I am a well, I feel dry. If I am a song, I feel unfinished. And yet I offer myself to you not because I am worthy, but because you are merciful, not because I am strong, but because you are steady, not because I have anything to bring, but because you welcome empty hands. Today, I do not pretend to be whole. I do not try to appear bold. I come with my trembling, my confusion, my quiet desperation. I come because you are the only place where I do not have to pretend. Because in the shelter of your presence, I can breathe again without having to hold everything together. I remember what I once believed, that you are near to the brokenhearted, that you are the God who sees, that you collect tears and whisper peace. But belief feels distant this morning. Not gone, just quiet. Not broken, just wary. If you are as gentle as they say, then come find me here. I do not need a miracle. I need you. I offer up this ache that has no name. I give you the questions I am too afraid to ask. I bring you my unfinished, my uncertain, my undone. And I ask, if nothing else, sit with me in this stillness. Meet me not at the end of this pain, but in the middle of it. Speak not only after the storm has passed, but while I am still in the shadow of its weight. You are the God who made the morning, the one who painted light into the sky. So surely you can breathe hope into this heart. Surely you can find me here if you can call stars by name. Then you can hold this name of mine with tenderness. If you can calm the sea, then maybe you can settle the shaking in my soul. I am not asking to be rescued from the journey. I am asking for the strength to keep walking it, for the courage to believe that even in this emptiness, you are at work, that even in this dry place, something holy is being planted, that this ache is not the end of me, but the beginning of something sacred. So I lean into you, even with questions I cannot yet shape into words. I lean into you, even as my hands tremble with doubt. I lean into you, because you are the only place that still feels safe when the world grows loud and my heart grows quiet. I do not know how to rise today, but I believe you will meet me here on the ground. I believe you will not wait for me to be okay before you draw near. And maybe that is enough for now, not a full healing, not a sudden answer, but a presence. A hand reaching into the ache, a voice that does not scold, but stays, a love that does not demand, but remains. Dear Heavenly Father, I am here, tired, empty, but here. I give you this first breath of morning. I give you the ache I cannot fix, and I trust that somehow, some way, you will meet me in it. God, I am still here, still in this place where the silence lingers, where my heart feels like it is pressing against something invisible and unyielding. I have sat in the quiet, and now it rises in me, not a scream, not even a shout, but a whisper, the first true cry from a place deeper than fear, deeper than fatigue. It is not loud, but it is honest, and I believe, somehow, it matters to you. Father, I do not know how to pray like the strong do. My voice shakes, my thoughts drift, my courage flickers like a candle caught in the wind, but I cannot stay silent anymore. There is something inside of me that cannot be held back, a groan that words can barely wrap themselves around. So here I am, trembling but speaking, unsure but willing, afraid but finally honest. I call to you because I must, because this ache has gone too long unnamed, because pretending has worn thin, because somewhere in the depths of this wandering, I believe you still listen. Maybe not to the way I say things, maybe not to perfect theology or poetic lines, but to the heart behind the sound, the desperation behind the breath, the hunger behind the whisper. Lord, if I could map the distance between where I am and where I long to be, it would stretch farther than I dare imagine. I feel far from joy, far from clarity, far from peace. And in this wilderness of longing, the only direction I have left is upward. So I look to you, Even if my vision is blurred by tears, I lift my voice. Even if it cracks in the middle, I ask. Even if I do not know how to form the question. There is no formula in this, no pattern I follow with certainty. Just a raw need and a faint hope that you do not require perfection to respond. I cry out not to demand, but to be heard, not to test you, but to be held by you, not to fix the world, but to remember I am not lost in it. This cry is not polished. It does not try to sound strong. It is the kind that echoes in the corners of the soul and rises through the cracks of a worn heart. It is the cry of one who has run out of other options, of one who has tried to carry too much for too long, of one who is finally willing to fall at your feet, not out of defeat, but out of surrender. I do not cry to the void. I cry to the God who parts seas, who catches tears, who speaks in winds and whispers. I cry to the one who knows the sound of my voice, even when I do not recognize it myself. You know what I am not saying. You hear what I mean even when my words fail, and that alone gives me reason to speak. God, I need you to know that I am not okay, that I am weary in a way that rest does not cure, that I am scared in places I once showed to anyone else, that I am questioning things I once held firm. But even in this, I want you. I may not feel you clearly, but I want you deeply. I may not understand the path, but I need your presence on it. This cry is not for attention. It is for connection, not for answers, but for nearness. If I cannot yet feel joy, let me feel you. If I cannot see the next step, let me feel the steadiness of your hand. If the road ahead remains dim, let your voice be the one light that draws me forward. I am not afraid of the dark because it is dark. I am afraid of being alone in it. So come near, come sit with me in this unseen place. I do not ask you to erase all pain, but to prove you are in it. I do not ask you to explain the silence, but to break it with your presence. I do not ask for signs in the sky, but for peace that reaches the aching parts of me no one else sees. Father, I know this voice is quiet. I know my whisper may not seem like much in a world full of noise, but I believe it reaches you. I believe that even the smallest cry, when lifted from a surrendered soul, moves the heart of heaven. I believe that even now, something begins to shift not because my words are strong, but because you are near to the broken. So I cry out not because I expect an instant change, but because I need to be honest. I cry because this ache has found a voice. I cry because you are not threatened by weakness or fatigue. I cry because something holy happens when the heart finally admits it cannot carry itself. Let this be the beginning of something real between us. Not a religious routine, but a sacred exchange. I pour out what I have, even if it is mostly emptiness, mostly longing, mostly questions. And I trust that you meet me not where I pretend to be, but where I truly am. In this wilderness, I do not ask for escape. I ask for encounter. I ask for the sound of your footsteps beside mine, for the whisper that says I am not forsaken, for the assurance that though this place feels barren, you can make it bloom, that though this moment feels hollow, you can fill it with purpose. I cry to you, not because I have run out of faith, but because I still have just enough to believe that crying to you matters. Just enough to believe that you are the God who bends low to listen. The God who leans in when others turn away. The God who answers, not always with the storm stilled, but with the soul steadied. Let this whisper be a seed. Let this cry be the rain that waters it. Let this morning be the turning point where silence becomes sacred conversation, where pain becomes the place we meet, where longing becomes the path that leads me deeper into your heart. I may not feel different yet. The desert may still stretch out before me, but I am no longer mute in it. I am no longer pretending I can do this alone. And that, in itself, feels like the beginning of something holy, something honest, something real. So I whisper again, I cry again. I let the sound rise from the deep well of all I have held back. And I believe you are here, not just watching, but listening, not just hearing, but holding, not just present, but close. And for now, that is enough to keep going. That is enough to breathe. That is enough to cry out once more and believe someone hears. Lord, as I sit in this quiet place, still heavy with longing, something in me begins to remember, not clearly at first, not in full color or sharp detail, but softly like distant thunder before the storm breaks. I remember that this is not the first time I have been here, not the first time I have felt lost or empty or small. And somehow, even then, you came. It is strange how the soul forgets, how pain speaks louder than memory, how silence makes us believe we have always been alone. But the truth begins to rise, like mist lifting from the ground. I remember moments when I was certain I could not go on, and yet I did. I remember nights when sleep would not come, and still the sun rose the next morning. I remember seasons that felt like they would last forever, grief, confusion, despair, and yet somehow they passed. Father, you were there. Maybe I did not see you clearly. Maybe I did not recognize it at the time. But now, in the stillness, I can trace the outline of your presence like fingerprints on foggy glass. You were in the phone call that came at just the right moment, in the kind word from someone who did not know how much I needed it, in the strength I did not understand, in the breath I did not know I could take. You were there when I thought I had reached the end. I remember the day I felt like everything was falling apart. And somehow, what broke made space for something more honest to grow. I remember when I lost what I thought I needed, and in time, I found what I truly could not live without. I remember the sound of my own tears falling, and the way peace followed them like a quiet tide. Not always immediate, but always faithful. God, I do not want to forget what you have done. I do not want to let the weight of today erase the wonder of yesterday. Help me hold on to the evidence of your kindness. Help me see that just as the ground holds the memory of rain, my life holds the memory of your grace. When I said I was abandoned, you were still working. When I said I was forgotten, you were still holding me. When I said nothing good could come, you were already planting what would bloom in time. Let this remembering not be nostalgia, but renewal. Not a look back in longing, but a gathering of strength for what lies ahead. Because if you were faithful then, you are faithful now. If you did not let me go when I doubted, you will not let go when I am tired. If you carried me through the storm I never thought I would survive, then surely you will not drop me now. Lord, help me treasure the small things, the quiet miracles that did not make headlines, but carried me through. The morning I woke up with peace I could not explain. The meal that was provided when I did not know how. The friend who stood by me when everyone else drifted away. The forgiveness I received when I least deserved it. The way you whispered, not in a shout, but in stillness. I remember, and it steadies me. You have always been present, even when I was not aware. Like rain falling in the night, you refreshed what was dry without asking for recognition. Like sunlight breaking through clouds, you gave warmth even when I did not lift my head to see it. Like music behind a closed door, you played a song of hope that I am only now starting to hear. There is power in remembering. It shifts the weight. It awakens gratitude, even in the middle of unanswered prayers. It reminds me that I am not starting from nothing, that my history is full of grace that cannot be explained any other way. You have shown up before, and not once did you arrive too late. God, remind me of the moments I have forgotten. Bring to mind the times I called out, and you responded not always in the way I expected, but always in the way I needed. Let those memories become anchors when the present feels unstable. Let them become fuel when my hope grows thin. Let them become light when the darkness tries to convince me it is all there is. I may not be standing in the promised land yet, but I have seen glimpses. I have tasted enough to know that more is coming. I have touched enough of your mercy to know it never runs out. I have heard enough of your voice to recognize its truth, even when my heart is unsure. So I hold on to the fragments, the scattered pieces of provision, the stories I rarely tell but deeply treasure, the scars that prove healing happened, the memories that remind me that emptiness is never the whole story, that somewhere beneath the surface, rain has already fallen, that what looks dry can still hold life. Even now, I realize that remembering is a kind of faith. It is choosing to rehearse the goodness of God instead of the fear of what may come. It is a declaration that grace is not a one-time event, but a rhythm woven into the days and nights. It is a whisper that says, He was there, He is still here, and He will be faithful again. Father, help me turn these memories into prayers. Let the stories of what you have done become songs that rise in my soul when words run dry. Let my history with you become the foundation beneath my fragile trust. Let the evidence of your hand give me the courage to lift mine again. This morning, as I sit in the quiet and feel the old ache loosen its grip, I thank you for every time you came through, even when I did not see it, for every quiet provision, every silent miracle, every undeserved kindness. Let remembering be the rain that softens my soul, that prepares me for the seeds you are planting even now. I do not need every answer to believe. I only need to remember enough to trust again. And I do, not because everything is fixed, not because the path is suddenly clear, because you have given me 1,000 reasons to trust and not one to walk away. So I gather them now, these quiet moments of mercy, these echoes of your care. I hold them close, like embers in the cold. I remember, and in remembering, I find my breath again. I find my footing again. I find you again. Father, as I sit here holding the pieces of memory, the quiet reminders of all the ways you have come through before, something begins to stir. It is not loud or sudden. It does not push or demand. It is small, like the first green shoot rising from soil that had seemed barren, like light that filters softly through thick branches, gently finding its way, like the warmth that creeps in slowly after a long winter. It is something I barely dared to hope would return, but it is here faith. It is not the kind that moves mountains with bold commands or sings loud in a room full of confidence. It is smaller than that, quieter, but no less real, maybe even more so, because this kind of faith is born not in triumph, but in tenderness. It is the kind that grows after the rain, in the aftermath of H. It is the kind that leans forward, even with questions still unanswered. It does not need to know the whole way ahead. It only needs to believe that you are already there. Lord, I cannot say I am strong yet. I cannot promise I will not feel weak again tomorrow. But today, I feel something shift inside me. Where there was only numbness, now there is a pulse. Where there was only silence, now there is a breath. Where there was only fear, now there is a flicker of trust. I do not know where this will lead. I do not pretend that faith means the pain will vanish or the answers will suddenly appear. But I know that even the smallest seed has the potential to grow into something unshakable. And this morning, I choose to protect that seed. I choose to speak to it, to believe in it, to offer it to you, God. I have spent so long focused on what I lack, on what I cannot do, what I do not have, what I am not. But maybe faith begins when I turn my eyes away from the emptiness and lift them toward the giver, not to prove anything, not to earn anything, just to remember who you are. You are the one who breathes life into dust, the one who draws rivers in the wilderness, the one who sees a mustard seed and calls it enough. And if you say it is enough, then I will believe that even this small spark inside me is sacred, that it is worth holding on to, that it is the beginning of something more. Father, I offer this faith to you not because it is impressive, but because it is honest. I do not come with full assurance, but I come with open hands. I do not have the whole picture, but I have the will to trust you with the next step. I do not feel fearless, but I do feel willing. And maybe willingness is where faith begins. Let this spark grow. Let it take root in the deepest part of me, in the soil that has been broken and softened by tears. Let it stretch slowly upward, reaching for light I cannot always see. Let it find nourishment in your word, in your presence, in the gentle reminders of who you have always been. I do not ask for immediate harvest. I do not ask for visible fruit. I ask only for enough strength to keep saying yes, to keep believing that you are here, even when the silence lingers, that you are good, even when I cannot feel the warmth, that you are working, Even when everything seems still, this spark of faith may be small, but it is real. It pulses with a quiet hope that today can be different. That I do not have to carry everything alone. That I can lean into grace instead of striving for perfection. That I can be held instead of holding it all together. I remember now that faith is not the absence of doubt. It is the courage to stand in the middle of doubt and still believe. To raise my eyes when fear tells me to look down. To whisper yes when everything inside me is tempted to retreat. To reach out when it feels safer to stay numb. God, meet me in this faith. Breathe on it. Whisper over it. Protect it from the voices that try to smother it. From the lies that say it is not enough. Remind me that even the smallest act of trust matters. Even the quietest prayer is heard. Even the tiniest decision to keep walking is sacred. Let this spark be more than emotion. Let it take shape in my choices. In how I show up. In how I speak. In how I carry myself through the day. Let it be woven into the way I think. The way I rest, the way I wait. Let it guide me gently, not as a forceful wind, but as a steady hand on my back. I choose, in this moment, to believe that you are not asking for certainty. You are asking for surrender. You are not demanding performance. You are inviting presence. You are not waiting for me to impress you. You are waiting for me to trust you. And today, I want to trust again, even if it means starting small, even if it means trusting you with things I have held tightly, even if it means letting go of the need to control or understand. I choose to trust you not because everything feels good, but because you are good. This spark. Father, it is my offering. It is what I bring to the altar this morning. I place it in your hands, knowing they are gentle, knowing they are capable, knowing they are kind. I trust that what is planted in faith will grow in your time, in your way, by your grace. Let it grow, Lord. Let it grow even when I cannot see the roots. Let it grow even when the soil feels hard again. Let it grow through the questions, and the quiet, and the waiting. Let it become something strong. Something beautiful. Something that can shelter others one day. Thank you for letting me come to you like this. Thank you for welcoming faith even when it shakes. Thank you for seeing value in the small, for calling it holy, for making it enough. Today, I take the first step forward not with certainty, but with a spark, and I believe you walk beside me. Father, now that I have offered you this small but living spark of faith, I feel the quiet beginning of change. But with it comes another tension, subtle yet strong, a battle rising inside me between what I believe and what I have been taught to fear, between what I have glimpsed in your presence and what I still feel pressing in from the world. It is a war between two voices, one whispering sufficiency and the other echoing scarcity. I know you are enough. I know you provide. I have seen it. I have remembered it. I have even believed it. And yet, another voice pushes in, asking if it will last, if the comfort will stay, if the strength will run dry. There is a part of me that rises in trust, and another that still braces for disappointment. I want to walk in peace, but there is a tug in my chest that says I should prepare for the worst, that I should not hope too much, ask too boldly, believe too deeply just in case. Lord, this tug of war drains me. It makes me question my own heart, my own voice, my own worthiness. It pulls me between gratitude and fear, between release and control. One part of me wants to open wide to all you are ready to give, and another wants to grip tightly to whatever little I have, afraid that it could be taken. I do not want to live with clenched fists anymore. I do not want fear to be the ruler of my decisions or the architect of my thoughts. I do not want the shadow of not enough to follow me into every corner of my life. I have believed for so long that I must strive to be worthy. That provision is earned, that blessings are conditional, that everything depends on how strong, how perfect, how prepared I am. But I am beginning to realize that this is not how you work. That grace does not come wrapped in performance. That sufficiency is not a prize I win, but a gift you offer. So why is it so hard to believe it deep down? Not just with my lips, but with my habits, my choices, my reactions. Why do I still flinch when provision seems uncertain? Why do I still brace when things feel quiet, as if your silence might be abandonment? Why do I still keep a list in my mind of all the ways I might fall short and all the reasons you might pass me by? God, this is the inner war. The pull between what you have said and what life has tried to teach me. Between promises and patterns. Between trust and self-preservation. And I do not want to pretend I have already won this battle. But I do want to fight it differently. I want to face it with you, not with fear. I want to stop running from it and start bringing it into the light. You say I do not have to fear lack, that I am not defined by what I do not have, that my story is not shaped by scarcity, but by your abundance. You say I am invited to feast, not just scrape for scraps, that there is room at the table, that my seat is secure, that nothing will be withheld from me that I truly need. Help me believe that not just when things are going well, not just when the numbers add up and the doors open. Help me believe it in the gaps, in the waiting, in the pauses where nothing moves and everything inside me wants to panic. Help me believe it when I feel surrounded by reminders of what others have and I do not. Help me silence the voice that says I have to hustle harder to be seen. Father, I want to move from fear-driven survival into peace-shaped surrender. I want to live from the truth that I am already loved, already chosen, already supplied. I want to act like a child who trusts the Father's table will never run out of bread. I want to walk into this day not as one scrambling for scraps, but as one confident in the goodness of her provider. But this war is not fought in a moment. It rises daily, in how I respond to pressure, in how I carry uncertainty, in how I treat myself and others when resources feel thin. So meet me there, in those small decisions. Teach me to choose faith over fear, sufficiency over scarcity, even when it feels unnatural. When I feel I must grasp, remind me I can open my hands. When I feel I must guard, remind me I am already guarded. When I feel I must earn, remind me I have already been given more than I deserve. Let this not just be something I sing about or hear in a sermon, but something I live deep in my bones. steady in my steps. I know the world tells me I am always behind, that I never have quite enough, that someone else is always ahead, that I must compete and strive and worry. But you, God, you invite me into rest, into stillness, into a reality where there is no race to win, no ladder to climb, only a place to belong and a grace that sustains. Let that be the louder voice. Let that truth be the one that takes root. Let that become the soil where my decisions grow, the rhythm by which my heart beats. I want to live not according to fear's urgency, but according to peace as assurance. I want to walk through this day with the quiet strength of someone who knows she is cared for, provided for, seen. So I name the lies that still chase me. I name the fear of being left out, the panic over not having enough, the shame of not measuring up. And I bring them to you. I do not hide them, pretend I am past them, or dress them up in spiritual language. I bring them raw, because I trust you know what to do with them. Replace them, Lord, with truth, with steady reminders that your grace does not run on rations, that your love does not shrink when I feel small, that your provision is not dependent on my perfection, that you are not only enough, but more than enough. I am tired of the inner war, of the cycle of striving and crashing, of believing one day and doubting the next. So today, I do not try to win this battle alone. I invite you into it. I give you the loud voices in my head, the weight behind my eyes, the tension in my shoulders. I surrender the story I have been telling myself and ask you to rewrite it with truth. Let sufficiency become my new language. Let grace become my default response. Let trust become my rhythm. Let peace become my posture. I am not what I lack. I am not defined by the gaps. I am not disqualified by what I do not understand. I am yours, and in you, I have what I need. Let that be my starting point. Let that be my truth. Let that be enough for today. Father, I hear the truth you are speaking into the tension. I feel it beginning to soften something hard within me, but as I open more space for trust, I notice something rising to grief, a deep and quiet sorrow I had not wanted to face. It had been buried beneath all the striving, hidden under the weight of self-protection. But now, in this light, it begins to show itself, and I do not want to turn away from it. I want to bring it to you. There are tears I never gave myself permission to cry, emotions I dismissed because they felt too inconvenient, too heavy, too endless, but now they press at the edges, not to overwhelm me, but to ask if they can be seen. And maybe they should be. Maybe this, too, is part of the healing, not just replacing fear with faith, but letting the sorrow breathe and be held in your presence. God, I have spent so much time pretending to be strong, holding things together, managing pain in silence, telling myself to move on, but there is something holy in these tears, something sacred in allowing myself to feel what I have kept locked away, disappointments I never voiced, losses I never fully grieved, dreams that slipped quietly out of reach, wounds that never closed all the way. I bring them now, not to dwell in them, but to release them, not to drown in emotion, but to finally let it move through me instead of festering inside. These tears, Lord, are not weakness. They are truth. They are the language of a heart that wants to heal. They are the rain on dry ground. And I trust you enough now to let them fall. I used to believe I had to be composed to come before you, that I had to wait until I was stable, calm, presentable. But now I understand that you welcome every version of me, even the messy, overwhelmed, undone one, especially that one, because that is when I am honest. That is when I stop hiding. That is when I finally let you in. So I cry today not just because of sadness, but because I finally feel safe enough to do so. Because your presence does not flinch. Because your hands do not pull away. Because your heart is not afraid of mine. These tears are not just mine. Father, they are yours too. You feel with me. You weep with me. You never turn away from what hurts. You kneel beside it. You enter into it. You carry it with compassion. Some of this sorrow has no name. It is the ache of waiting too long. The sting of words never said. The exhaustion of hoping and being let down. It is made of small moments and heavy days. Of little heartbreaks that never seemed big enough to name, but built themselves into a quiet mountain inside my chest. But here in your presence, even the unnamed can be known. Even the hidden can be touched. I will not rush past this moment. I will not apologize for emotion. I will not shame myself for feeling deeply. I will let the tears do what they were created to do: cleanse, soften, water the soil. Because something is growing in this place. Not in spite of the weeping, but because of it. And I do not want to miss it. God, thank you for being the kind of Father who is moved by my sorrow, who does not ask me to suppress it or sanitize it, who does not say, be grateful instead, or it could be worse, but who instead leans in, listens, and stays, who receives my grief like a sacred offering, who calls my pain worthy of attention, not something to be hidden or fixed quickly. I do not need answers right now. I do not need solutions. I need presence. I need to know I am not crying into the void, but into the arms of one who understands, who has known sorrow himself, who was called a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief, who wept at graves and over cities, who understands that tears do not make faith weaker, they prove that it is real. There is release in this. There is softness returning to places that were hardened by disappointment. There is breath coming back to lungs that had been holding it all in. And even though it still hurts, there is relief in finally being honest with you, in knowing that I do not have to carry the weight alone, that I never did, that you were always there, waiting for me to trust you enough to feel it all. Father, teach me not to fear these moments. Teach me that weeping is not the end of faith, but the beginning of healing, that tears are not the absence of belief, but the evidence of love, that brokenness is not a failure, it is a doorway, and through that doorway, you enter with gentleness and grace. Let this be a turning point, not away from sorrow, but through it. Let the tears fall freely, not as a sign of defeat, but as an act of trust. Let them water the places where new life is trying to grow. Let them carry away the lies I believed about myself, about being too much, too fragile, too emotional. Let them clear the soil of old bitterness and make space for something softer, something kinder, something more honest to take root. I know that joy will come. I do not want to skip the steps. I want the joy that comes after weeping, the kind that is deep and grounded, not forced or faked. I want the joy that knows sorrow and still chooses to sing. I want the kind of peace that has looked grief in the face and still dared to hope. So I let the tears fall today, and I do not hold them back. I offer them to you as the truest words I can speak right now. I offer them without explanation, without apology. I offer them because they are mine, and I am yours, and that is enough. Thank you for being near to the brokenhearted. Thank you for calling these moments sacred. Thank you for making room in your presence for sadness, for silence, for slow healing. Thank you that I do not have to hold it together here, that I am allowed to fall apart and trust you to hold every piece. Let these tears become something holy. Let them mark the place where things begin to shift, where grief gives way to comfort, where emptiness begins to fill, where the dry ground starts to soften. I believe that even now, as they fall, you are doing something deep and unseen. Something good, something real, something lasting. Lord, as the tears slowly quiet within me, what remains is not emptiness, but a gentle hunger, not the desperate kind, not the frantic searching for something to numb the ache, but a deeper kind of soul hunger. It rises not from lack, but from longing, a longing not for more things, but for you, a longing for steady nourishment, for something that sustains. The weeping has softened the ground, and now I am ready to be fed. Father, you know what this wilderness feels like. You know how dry the days can get, how thin hope can stretch, and you know how easy it is for me to start searching for scraps, reaching for what is closest rather than what is true. But this time, I do not want to fill the ache with noise or distraction or striving. This time, I want bread from your hand. I want what you give, not what I grab. I remember stories of how you met your people in their own wilderness, how you gave them what they needed, not all at once, not in abundance they could store and hoard, but just enough for each day. Manna from heaven, bread they could not explain, food that came with the morning and melted in the heat. It was not glamorous. It did not always satisfy their taste, but it sustained them. It kept them. It reminded them they were not forgotten. And that is what I need today. God, not grand answers, not dramatic rescues, but daily bread. Just enough grace to get through this morning. Just enough strength to keep my head lifted. Just enough peace to settle the restless parts of me. I do not need a feast. I need you. I need something true. Something holy. Something I do not have to chase because it finds me right where I am. Let me stop reaching for things that cannot nourish. Let me release my grip on false comforts, on illusions of control, on whatever I have been using to fill what only you can satisfy. Teach me again that your provision may not look how I expect, but it will always be enough. You do not promise extravagance. You promise presence. You promise sustenance. You promise to be with me in the middle of this dry land and feed my soul when nothing else can. God, help me to recognize the bread you are already placing in front of me, the quiet word that speaks life, the moment of stillness that invites me to breathe, the friend who shows up without needing to fix me, the scripture that lingers just long enough to soften my spirit. These are holy things, and I do not want to overlook them because I am too busy waiting for something bigger. Help me to trust the slow nourishment of daily grace, the kind that does not always feel dramatic, but quietly rewires me over time, the kind that changes how I think, how I respond, how I carry my burdens, the kind that teaches me to live from dependence instead of desperation, to wake each morning and say, "What you give today will be enough." Even when I cannot see the source, I believe you will provide. Even when I do not feel the shift, I believe you are working. Even when the landscape around me still looks barren, I believe you are preparing something underneath. Faith is not always about seeing the harvest. Sometimes it is about trusting that the seed will break through when the time is right. Father, keep my heart open to receive what you are offering. I do not want to miss the miracle because I was expecting a different form. I do not want to dismiss what is real because it came gently instead of grandly. I do not want to starve my soul by clinging to expectations you never placed on me. I want to live nourished, not just fed. I want to be sustained by something deeper than emotion, deeper than circumstance, deeper than fear. So I come to you with this hunger, and I ask for bread, the kind that feeds more than my body, the kind that touches the dry places of my spirit and brings them back to life, the kind that reminds me I am not alone, not forgotten, not abandoned in this wilderness. You are here. You are moving. You are providing. Even now, you are the God who meets your children where they are, not where they think they should be. You do not wait for me to earn the meal. You do not measure my worth before you feed me. You give because it is who you are. You provide because you are kind. And I want to live as someone who trusts that kindness, even when I do not understand the method. Let this day be shaped not by scarcity, but by receiving. Let my thoughts be shaped not by worry, but by gratitude. Let me stop long enough to taste what you are doing. Let me sit long enough to let it settle. Let me walk away from this moment, not just feeling full, but feeling fed by something that lasts. This wilderness will not be my ruin. It will be the place I remember your faithfulness in quiet detail. The place I learned to trust what cannot be seen. The place where my soul grew stronger. Not because I forced it, but because you fed it. I do not have to fear this dry season. I only have to open my hands, lift my heart, and receive what you have already placed before me. Father, you are still the giver. You are still the shepherd who prepares a table even in the presence of fear. You are still the one who multiplies what looks small and makes it more than enough. I offer you my hunger, and I receive what you provide, not just what I want, but what I truly need. and today, that is more than enough for me. Father, if yesterday I asked for bread in the wilderness, today I ask for the courage to receive it. Because even as I confess my need and trust that you provide, I still find hesitation rising in my chest. There is a quiet resistance I did not expect, a trembling in my spirit that asks if I am really allowed to take what you so freely give. There is a part of me that keeps my hands half closed. Not out of defiance, but out of fear that what you offer might slip through, or that I am somehow unworthy to hold it. God, I have prayed for provision, and yet how often have I walked away still empty? Not because you withheld, but because I did not know how to receive. Maybe I have been trained to earn, to strive, to prove I am deserving. Maybe I have mistaken your goodness as something I must repay. Maybe I have carried a belief that says grace is only for the parts of me that have behaved. But you do not give with conditions. You do not hold back when my faith is small. You do not wait for me to be flawless before you open your hand. So help me now to open mine, to release the tight grip I have had on old fears, old coping habits, old beliefs that taught me I had to carry it all alone. Help me unclench the fists I have used to fight through each day. I do not want to live like everything depends on me anymore. I want to learn what it means to live with open hands, ready to receive what you so kindly offer not just once, but again and again, like daily bread. Lord, I know that to receive what is new, I must release what no longer serves. I must lay down the lies I have collected, the weight of self-reliance, the anxiety that whispers I will be left without. I have filled my hands with things I thought would protect me, but all they have done is exhaust me. I have held on to control as if it were a lifeline, but it has only tightened around me like a rope. So today I lay it all down, every anxious thought, every tight assumption, every shield I have built to protect our heart that was never meant to live behind walls. Give me the humility to take what you give without suspicion, to say thank you without trying to earn it, to be still enough to notice the goodness you pour out, whether it comes in quiet encouragement, unexpected help, or simply the peace that surpasses understanding. Let me recognize it as the gift it is. There is a difference between striving and surrender, and I am beginning to see that surrender is not weakness, it is strength refined. It is the kind of strength that kneels instead of climbs, that trusts instead of demands, that says, I can but knows that you already can. I want to live from that place, not just in word but in posture. I want to carry myself as someone who is loved, not someone who is constantly proving her worth. Father, help me receive joy without guilt. Help me accept rest without feeling lazy. Help me embrace peace even when everything around me is still chaotic. I do not want to disqualify myself from your gifts simply because I am not used to living without struggle. I want to be someone who welcomes grace without resisting it, who allows love to land, instead of dodging it with deflection or disbelief. Sometimes the hardest thing is not believing you can provide it, is believing I can receive. It is allowing myself to be vulnerable, to admit that I can do it all, to accept help without shame. But I want to change that. I want to be open. I want to be ready. I want to be someone who does not just ask in faith, but receives in faith too. You are not a God who gives sparingly. You are not holding back because I have not prayed hard enough or cried long enough. You give because you are generous, because it is who you are, because you delight in giving to your children. Not reluctantly, but with joy. And I want to mirror that joy in how I receive. I want to stop acting like a guest on borrowed time and begin living like a child who belongs. Let my hands remain open, even when it feels risky. Let my heart remain soft, even when I have been hurt before. Let me receive not just what feels easy to accept, but also the things that stretch me healing I did not expect, opportunities I feel unprepared for, love that goes deeper than I have ever known. Let me receive the correction that shapes me, the peace that steadies me, the truth that sets me free. God, I do not want to miss what you are offering simply because I am afraid to let go of what is familiar. I do not want to reject your gifts because I feel undeserving. Teach me to receive with gratitude, not guilt. To welcome the abundance of your heart without questioning my place at the table. Let this moment be more than prayer. Let it be practice. Let it be the start of a new rhythm in my life, where my hands are no longer clenched in survival, but stretched out in trust, where I stop measuring myself by what I give and begin to see the holiness of receiving, where I stop trying to prove I am enough and begin to live like I already am because you say so. You are enough, and you call me enough. You pour out grace, not to the perfect, but to the honest, not to the polished, but to the open. And I want to be that. I want to be open. I want to be ready. I want to believe that what you give is exactly what I need, even if it does not come in the package I expected. So here I am, Lord. Hands empty. Heart hopeful. Spirit willing. Teach me to stay in this posture not just today, but tomorrow and the day after. Teach me to find peace not just in what I can do, but in what I am willing to receive. Let my life reflect not scarcity, but trust. Not fear, but freedom. Not doubt, but the quiet joy of a soul that knows it is loved enough to open its hands and simply receive. Father, now that I have chosen to open my hands, I begin to sense what has been waiting behind the walls I once held up. Not just peace, not just rest, but something deeper, revelation, like light slowly reaching into a room long sealed shut. Your truth is illuminating places in me I did not know were dark. It is not harsh or sudden. It is soft, warm, gradual, but it is undeniable. You are showing me what has always been available, what I have overlooked, what has been mine all along. God, I spent so long believing I was lacking, that I had to earn my way into provision, that your goodness had to be chased or performed for. But now I am beginning to see that the storehouse of heaven is not locked. It has never been locked. I was the one who did not know how to walk in, the one who assumed I did not belong there, the one who stood outside with my hands empty while your shelves were already full. It humbles me, Lord. It stops me in my tracks to realize that so much of what I have begged you for, you had already made available. not withheld, not dangled like a distant reward, but set aside lovingly, patiently, abundantly for me, and not just for the moments when I feel strong or worthy, but even for the moments when I feel least deserving. Especially then. You are not a God of delay or scarcity. You are the God who prepares in advance. The God who stores good things with my name on them. The God who fills the room before I even ask. And today, I choose to walk into that room not timidly, not like an outsider, but like a child coming home. Like someone invited, like someone expected. Let me see what you have already placed there. The strength I need for today's challenge. The wisdom for decisions I have been dreading. The peace for the conversation I cannot control. The comfort for the I still carry. The hope for the thing I stopped praying about. The healing for the wound I thought I would always bear. All of it already here. Already mine through you. Already waiting in the light. You are showing me that your provision is not limited to the obvious. It does not always arrive in the form I imagined. Sometimes it looks like silence, but it is actually space being made. Sometimes it looks like delay, but it is protection being granted. Sometimes it looks like loss, but it is deeper growth being rooted. And sometimes it looks like nothing has changed, when in truth, everything is shifting in the unseen. Lord, help me not miss the miracle, because I am looking for something dramatic. Help me not ignore what you are offering, because it came in a quiet form. Let me not overlook the treasure in ordinary moments. A kind word, a memory resurfacing at just the right time. A verse that lands in my chest like an anchor. A breath that comes easier. A weight that lifts without explanation. Let me see it all as light in the storage room. Let me live in awe of how you prepare. I used to think provision was only about things I could count: money, time, outcomes, achievements. But you are expanding my definition. You are teaching me that provision is also courage, and clarity, and unexpected laughter. It is the phone call I did not know I needed, the silence that taught me how to listen, the closed door that led me to something better, the new beginning that came disguised as an ending. God, how many times have you supplied me with exactly what I needed before I even asked? And I never noticed because it did not come wrapped in the way I hoped. Help me now to become more aware, more attuned, more grateful. I do not want to walk through life unaware of the riches you have already made available. I want to live as someone who searches the shelves with expectancy, not with doubt. Let me not measure your goodness by what the world calls abundance. Let me measure it by how often you meet me in quiet rooms and fill empty spaces before I even know how to ask. Let me find beauty in the provision I can T-post about, in the blessings that feel too personal to explain. Let the unseen become more precious than the obvious. Let what is hidden with you be more trusted than what is loud in the world. I sense you calling me to open more than my hands. You are calling me to open my eyes, to open my perception, to shift from fear to awareness, from worry to worship, because when I stop long enough to look, I see that lack is not my reality. Abundance is, not in a shallow, material sense, but in the real, lasting ways that hold me up when nothing else can. There is no shortage in you, no empty shelf, no locked cabinet, no forgotten corner. Every need I will ever face has already been considered by your heart. You are not surprised by my weakness. You are not scrambling to catch up with my needs. You are prepared. You are present. You are always ahead of me, never behind. So I walk into this day differently. I walk not as someone begging for crumbs, but as someone welcomed into fullness. I walk with hands still open, but now also with eyes lifted, watching, noticing, receiving. I walk into the storage room of your grace, not to take what I have not earned, but to receive what you always intended to give. Let my soul absorb this light. Let it chase out the shadows I have been living under. Let it expose the lies that told me I was alone, forgotten, or too late. Let it shine on every shelf and show me what I have missed. Let it stir gratitude so deep that it changes how I live, how I give, how I see the world around me. This light is not just for me, Lord. It is meant to illuminate others, too. So as I receive, teach me to share. As I gather peace, let me pour it back out. As I take in strength, let me offer it to someone else who is still unsure. As I discover the richness of what you have stored for me, let me not keep it to myself. Let it overflow. Let it be multiplied. Let it reflect you. Because this is who you are, not a God of barely enough, but of more than enough. Not a God who hides good things from his children, but one who stores them lovingly until we are ready to see. Not a God who withholds, but a God who waits for us to walk in and open our eyes. Today, I choose to see. I choose to enter. I choose to believe that there is more available to me in you than I have yet known, and I choose to live like it is already mine. Because in your presence, nothing is withheld, and everything I need is already waiting in the light. Father, as the light spreads across the storerooms of grace I had long left unexplored, I begin to feel something underneath me shift. The ground beneath my feet, once so uncertain and soft with doubt, now begins to feel steady. Still tender. Still quiet, but firm in a way that is unfamiliar. There is a kind of ground that does not tremble when the winds pick up. A kind of foundation that holds even when the storms arrive without warning. And I realize now this is what your truth feels like when I finally choose to stand on it. God, I have spent so many seasons standing on sinking places on the shaky platform of my own performance, on the brittle surface of other people's opinions, on the fragile ground of temporary security. I have adjusted my footing 1,000 times, trying to stay balanced, trying not to fall, pretending I had a grip when I was barely holding on. But now I see that I was never meant to balance alone. I was never meant to build my life on things that shift with the weather. You are steady. You are the rock, the one who does not change when my circumstances do. The one who does not break beneath the weight of my need. The one who does not crumble beneath the pressure of my questions. And now, I want to step fully onto that rock, not just with cautious toes, but with both feet. Heart included, Not because everything feels perfect, but because I have decided that you are enough to hold me. This is not about never feeling shaky again. It is about knowing where to stand when I do. It is about having somewhere to plant my trust when the headlines are heavy, when the future feels foggy, when emotions rise like waves. You do not promise me a life without storms. You promise me that you are immovable through every one of them. So here I am, Lord, stepping forward, slowly, honestly, maybe a little unsteady, but choosing to trust that the ground beneath me is firm because it is you, choosing to let your word be my anchor when fear tries to pull me away, choosing to let your character define what is real, not my emotions, not my circumstances, not the shifting voices around me. I do not want to live at the mercy of whatever rises next. I do not want to react to life like I am walking a tightrope, constantly one wrong step away from collapse. I want to move with peace. I want to live from assurance. I want to face uncertainty with the quiet confidence of someone whose foundation cannot be shaken. Not because I am strong, because you are unshakable. God, help me remember that standing on truth does not mean I understand everything. It does not mean I always feel bold. It means I have chosen to believe something deeper than the noise around me. It means I come back again and again to what I know about you, even when everything else is unsure. It means I remind my soul that you are not moved by what moves me, that you remain when others walk away, that you are faithful when I feel forgotten. Let my feet find rhythm on this rock. Let it change the way I walk through the day. Let it steady my steps, even in uncertainty. Let it quiet the panic that sometimes flares up out of nowhere. Let it shape how I speak, how I respond, how I carry the weight of decisions that feel too big for me. Let it form the backdrop of every moment, not just the hard ones, but the ordinary ones too. You are not asking me to sprint. You are asking me to be rooted. You are not asking for performance. You are offering peace, and I receive it. I choose it. I lean into the truth that you are my sure footing, that I do not have to second guess whether you will hold, that I do not have to tiptoe through life wondering when the ground will give way. I have lived too long watching the horizon for trouble, calculating my next escape, preparing for disappointment before it arrives. But standing on you, I can breathe again. I can stop rehearsing what might go wrong and start remembering what has always been right: your love, your nearness, your promises that do not bend with the wind. Father, let this foundation reach deeper than my moods. Let it sit beneath my doubts and still hold me. Let it undergird my joy so that even when the day is hard, I do not collapse. Let it make me resilient in a way that is not loud or proud, but quietly unshaken. Let it build something in me that lasts. If fear comes again, let me fall forward, not backward. If doubt whispers, let it find no soil in which to grow. If pressure builds, let me press into you instead of panic. If the old habits try to lure me back to the unsteady places, remind me I have found a better way. Remind me that the ground you give is not fragile. It is holy. It is eternal. It is mine. I want to be a person whose stability confuses the world, not because I pretend life is perfect, because I have chosen to trust a perfect God. I want others to see the peace in my posture and wonder where it comes from. I want to be unshaken, not because I have mastered life, but because I have learned where to stand when everything else shifts. This is not a surface decision. It is a deep resolve, a heart-deep choice to plant myself on something that does not move. To live as though your truth is truer than my feelings. To walk as though your grace is strong enough for every uneven road. To love as though I have been securely held all along. And I have, even when I did not feel it. You were steady, even when I drifted. You remained, even when I tried to stand elsewhere. You waited patiently for me to remember where real safety is found. Thank you for never shaming me for the seasons when I stood on other things. Thank you for welcoming me back to the rock every time. Now, Lord, help me stay. Help me not just visit this place of trust, but build my life on it. Let your truth be the bedrock beneath every yes I speak. Let your faithfulness shape how I make decisions, how I rest at night, how I face each new challenge. Let my soul find its home here, not just when I am desperate, but every single day. Because you are not just enough when things fall apart. You are enough when things are quiet, when the ground feels level, when the sun is shining. I do not want to forget you then. I do not want to treat this glad place like a temporary shelter. I want it to be the place where I live, where I return, where I remain. So here I am. Standing still, not because the storm has stopped, but because I have found something stronger than the storm. Not because I have all the answers, but because I have found the one who never changes. And today, that is more than enough for me to take the next step with both feet on solid ground. With you, Father, as I stand on the ground of your truth, I begin to understand something deeper about the kind of stability you offer. It is not just a place to stand, it is a person who stays. And that person is you. You are not just a provider from afar. You are not simply the one who sends resources from a distance. You are the shepherd who walks beside me, who stays near in every valley, who never loses sight of even one soul in your care. Lord, I have always known you by many names: Creator, King, Savior, but today, in the stillness after the storm, I feel you most as shepherd, gentle, watchful, present, the one who knows when I have wandered, when I am weary, when I can keep going on my own, the one who does not rush me forward or leave me behind, but who matches my pace with patient love. It is a strange feeling to be both held and led, but that is what you do. You guide, not with pressure, but with peace. You do not drive me from behind. You invite me forward from ahead, and where I lack, you fill. Where I falter, you steady. Where I fear, you quiet. You are not waiting for me to arrive at perfection before you walk beside me. You are with me here, right here, where I am still learning how to trust, still fighting back old patterns, still wondering sometimes if I will make it through. God, I confess that I have often misunderstood lack. I have seen it as failure, as punishment, as a sign that I am doing something wrong. But now, as I stay close to your voice, I begin to see that lack is not always a sign of abandonment. Sometimes it is the very place where intimacy with you grows. Sometimes it is the pasture where trust begins. Because when I feel empty, I am finally aware of how deeply I need to be filled. And when I stop trying to fix it myself, I realize that you were never asking me to be my own shepherd. You were asking me to let you lead. You make me lie down, even when I want to keep moving. You restore me when I am trying to carry on broken. You lead me beside quiet waters when I have gotten used to running on fumes. You bring me into stillness, not to punish me, but to protect me. You slow me down, not to delay me, but to show me something I would miss if I were rushing. Help me to see those moments of slowing as grace. Help me to receive every pause as provision. Let me stop measuring my worth by momentum. Let me stop believing that more noise means more progress. Let me trust that when you lead me to stillness, you are preparing something deeper than I can see. You are not just the shepherd of abundance. You are the shepherd of my lack. You walk with me not just through green pastures, but through dry ones. Not just when I am surrounded by clarity, but when I am walking through fog. You do not need me to pretend to have it all figured out. You just ask me to stay close, to keep listening, to walk one step at a time behind your voice. Father, you know every corner of this heart. You know the secret anxieties, the questions I can say out loud, the quiet panic that rises when I think I am falling behind. And still, you draw me in, not to shame me, but to shepherd me. You remind me that I am not responsible for making the path appear. I am only responsible for staying near to the one who leads it. Let that truth go deep today. Let it settle beneath all the striving, all the self-sufficiency, all the silent pressure I have put on myself to be more. Do more. Have more. Let your voice cut through the noise of comparison, of scarcity, of shame. Remind me that I do not have to prove my worth. I just have to follow. You do not lose track of me. You do not forget where you last saw me. You are not confused when I stumble, not surprised when I cry, not disappointed when I pause. You carry me when I cannot walk. You search for me when I wander. You anoint me even when I feel unworthy. You see me in the middle of the crowd and call me by name. You are not a distant manager of my journey. You are my shepherd, and you are close. So teach me to walk with you again, not out of obligation, but out of relationship. Let this be a walk marked by wonder, by steady conversation, by grace in every step. Let it be a journey of trust, where I learn to listen more than I plan, where I ask more than I assume, where I depend more than I defend. God, I do not want to move without you. I do not want to sprint ahead, trying to make things happen on my own. And I do not want to fall behind, frozen by fear. I want to match my pace with yours. I want to walk in rhythm with the one who knows the way, who has been where I am going, who is not in a hurry, because he holds time in his hands. Even when I feel behind, you are not late. Even when I feel lost, you are not confused. Even when I feel like I lack everything, you remain everything. I can trust you, not because I have figured you out, but because you have shown yourself faithful again and again in ways I did not always recognize until afterward. I know now that the path you choose is not always the shortest, but it is always the surest. I know that where you lead, there will be provision, there will be peace, there will be purpose, even if I do not see it right away. Let me follow you with soft steps and an open heart. Let me trust your timing, your detours, your pace. Let me walk with eyes wide open, watching not just for where we are going, but for who you are along the way. Let me become familiar with your voice, so that when other voices try to lead me elsewhere, I will not follow. Thank you for never walking too far ahead. Thank you for not pulling me faster than my healing allows. Thank you for knowing when I need rest and when I need movement. Thank you for seeing me not as a task to complete, but as a heart to care for. This morning, I follow not because I am certain of what is ahead, but because I am sure of who is leading me. You are my shepherd, and I lack nothing, not because I have everything I asked for, but because you are everything I truly need. Lord, I come to you again, still resting in the truth that you are my shepherd, still breathing in the peace that comes from knowing I am not walking this path alone. But now, Father, I feel the stirring of another tension deep within me, the reality that even as you lead me, even as you prepare good things for me, there are still enemies around me, enemies that do not always look like people. Sometimes they look like fear, sometimes they look like anxiety, regret, self-doubt, or shame. They whisper lies when I try to stand in truth. They stir confusion when I long for clarity. They pull at my heart when I try to stay focused on you. God, you say in your word that you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies, not far from them, not after they are gone, but right there in the middle of their sneers, in the shadow of their threats, in the echo of their accusations. You invite me to sit down and feast, and that image undoes me, because I have spent so long fighting, defending, trying to silence those voices, trying to push away the darkness. But you are not asking me to do battle before I can find peace. You are inviting me to peace right in the middle of the battle. You do not wait until the storm passes to pour the oil of comfort. You anoint my head while the winds still rage. You do not wait for my enemies to walk away before you give me rest. You spread out a banquet right in front of them, not as a taunt but as a declaration, a holy announcement that says I am yours, that says I am safe, that says I am welcome, even while the danger still looms. Lord, help me believe that. Help me sit down when I want to run. Help me eat when I want to hide. Help me trust that your presence is my protection, even when the enemies do not leave, because I am starting to understand now your peace is not the absence of struggle. It is the presence of you. Your power is not just in removing what threatens me. It is in keeping me whole right in the middle of it. You are not afraid of what I face. You are not intimidated by the voices that accuse me. You do not pace nervously when the pressure builds. You do not flinch when the enemy gets close. You are not waiting for victory to be visible before you act like the victor. You sit down. You break bread, you serve grace, and you ask me to do the same. So, Father, teach me to eat in peace. Teach me to savor the sweetness of your presence when the air around me tastes like tension. Teach me to drink deep of your goodness even when threats still circle. Help me not to wait until everything feels right to trust that I am in the right place, because if you are here, then I am exactly where I need to be. Let this be the table where I stop rehearsing the voices of fear. Let this be the place where I stop bowing to the expectations of people who do not carry my soul. Let this be where I put down my sword, not because I have surrendered to defeat, but because I have surrendered to you. There is something holy about being still when chaos rages. There is something powerful about resting when war is near. There is something unshakable about knowing that my shepherd does not retreat, even in the presence of enemies. God, help me to stop being surprised by resistance. Help me to stop thinking that opposition means absence. You never said this road would be empty of struggle. You said you would be with me through it. You never said I would avoid the fire. You said you would be in the fire with me. You never said the valley would be quiet. You said you would walk me through. So I stop asking why the enemies exist. I stop begging for every battle to vanish. And instead, I ask for courage to sit with you at the table you have set, to eat when I am anxious, to breathe when I am burdened, to be filled when I feel attacked, to feast on truth when lies gather like wolves. You anoint my head with oil not just to bless, but to heal. Not just to mark me, but to mend me. You restore what I thought was lost. You renew what I believed was broken beyond repair. You lift my head when I want to shrink. You remind me that I am not prey. I am your beloved. So I will sit. I will eat. I will not rush away from the table you prepared. I will not let the glare of my enemies distract me from the generosity of your love. I will not listen to the hiss of condemnation when you are whispering grace. Let my heart be still, even when the world around me roars. Let my hands open to receive, even when I feel unworthy. Let my soul believe, even when fear tries to tell me it is foolish. This table is proof that I am not forgotten, that I am not alone, that I am not unprotected. You do not hide me from the enemy. You honor me in front of them. You show them what love looks like, what protection looks like, what belonging looks like. And maybe they 1T go away. Maybe the threats 1T always stop. But I will not let their presence steal my peace, because they did not invite me to this table. You did, and you, my Father, my defender, my shepherd, are more than enough. Lord, even as I sit at the table you have prepared, even as I begin to taste the peace you offer me in the presence of everything that once terrified me, I feel another ache begin to rise. Not the sharp sting of fear this time, not the sudden jolt of pain, but the slow and heavy weight of weariness. It is the kind of tired that does not come from a sleepless night, but from carrying too much for too long. It settles into the bones, quiet but consuming, like a fog that makes everything feel distant. And God, I bring that to you now, because I do not want to pretend that I am strong when I am running on empty. I do not want to keep pouring out from a place that has not been filled. Father, you know the weight I have been carrying, the responsibilities I cannot lay down, the expectations I feel I must meet, the quiet disappointments I do not even know how to name. I have been pushing forward with a smile on my face and exhaustion in my chest. I have said I am fine when I am fraying. I have said I am good when I am gasping. But you see through all of it. You know when my soul is worn thin. You know when the light in my eyes begins to fade. You know when I have been holding everything together with trembling hands. You do not scold me for being tired. You do not tell me to be stronger. Instead, you invite me to come to you. You say, "Come, all who are weary and burdened, and you will give rest, not just rest for my body, but rest for my soul. Not just quiet on the outside, but stillness on the inside." You are not asking me to pretend that I have no limits. You are asking me to trust that you are limitless, that your strength is made perfect not in my perfection, but in my weakness. So here I am, Lord, letting the truth rise like a tide. I am tired, I am worn, I am human, and I am still yours. You are not disappointed in me. You are not waiting for me to perform. You are the God who kneels beside the weary and whispers, "I am with you. I will carry you when your legs give out. I will hold you when your arms go limp. I will breathe hope back into you when your lungs feel crushed." You are not distant from this fatigue. You are present in it. You enter into it with me. I do not need to earn rest. I do not need to prove I deserve comfort. You are not a taskmaster. You are a tender father. You do not wait until I collapse to show kindness. You offer it now. So I take off the mask. I let go of the act. I stop pretending I can do it all. I was not made to. I was made to need you. And needing you is not weakness. It is worship. It is surrender. It is the sacred acknowledgement that I am not God, and I never have to be. Help me slow down, God. Help me stop chasing everything that drains me. Help me listen to the quiet voice inside that has been begging me to pause. Let me find comfort not in distractions or accomplishments, but in your nearness. Let my soul drink deeply from the well of your presence. Let me be nourished in the places no one sees. Let me be restored in the moments that feel the smallest, because is where you do your greatest work, in the secret, in the still, in the silence. Lord, I do not need a dramatic rescue. I need gentle renewal. I need the kind of healing that comes softly, like dew in the morning. I need the kind of grace that meets me where I am and carries me step by step until I can rise again. You are not asking for more from me right now. You are offering me more of you, and that is enough. So I let go of the guilt that tells me I should be stronger. I silence the shame that says I am failing if I need help. I receive the truth that you are not disappointed in me for being human. You formed me. You understand the limits of dust and breath. You know that even the strongest hearts grow tired. And you have made a place for me to rest, a safe place, a holy place, right here with you. Let my soul exhale. Let my heart be quiet. Let my thoughts be stilled. I do not have to have all the answers. I do not have to hold all the pieces. I do not have to fix what is broken alone. You are the one who holds me together when everything else falls apart. Thank you for being the kind of God who sits with me in my weariness. Thank you for not rushing me to recover, for not demanding that I bounce back before I am ready. You are patient. You are kind. You are gentle with my wounds. You bind them slowly, carefully, lovingly. You do not mock my tiredness. You meet it with mercy. And as I sit with you now, I feel something shifting. Not everything is solved. Not every burden is lifted, but something in me is changing. I am not alone in this fatigue. I am not abandoned in this weakness. You are here, and your presence is enough to carry me into one more day. God, now that I have laid down the weight of weariness in your presence, there is something else rising from within, something quieter, but deeper. It is trust, fragile and trembling, like a flame trying to stay lit in the wind. After all the nights I have cried myself to sleep, after the days I have walked through shadows wondering if I was forgotten, trusting again feels like a risk. And yet, here I am, God, holding out the pieces of my heart to you, asking you to help me believe again, not just in a distant future or vague hope, but in you, in who you are, in what you promised. You know why it is hard. You know how many times I have dared to hope and ended up disappointed. You know how many times I have believed for breakthrough and met silence instead. You know how my heart has been stretched thin by delay, by denial, by the long age of waiting. I have whispered prayers into the darkness and wondered if they vanished into nothing. I have stood on promises that felt like sand beneath my feet. And now, every time I try to trust, I flinch, afraid of another fall. But Father, you are not like the world. You are not like the voices that said they would stay and walked away. You are not like the circumstances that shifted beneath me. You are steady. You are unchanging. You are faithful even when I am not. You do not grow tired of my questions. You do not withdraw when I am afraid. You draw closer. You whisper truth when the lies are loudest. You remind me that trust is not pretending everything is okay. It is choosing to believe you are still good even when is not. So teach me again, Lord, how to trust. Teach me how to place my weight on you without holding back a piece. Teach me how to loosen my grip on the things I cannot control. Teach me how to look at the storms around me and still say, you are with me. Teach me how to stop rehearsing every possible outcome and simply rest in your sovereignty. You see what I can You hold what I can carry. You know what I do not understand. And that is where trust begins, not in having the answers, but in knowing who holds them. I want to believe again with childlike faith, the kind that does not need a plan, just a hand to hold. I want to step into the unknown without dragging all my fears behind me. I want to stop measuring you by what I see and start measuring everything by who you are. You have been faithful before. You will be faithful again. Every breath I take is proof that you have not finished with me yet. Every morning that rises is a testimony that grace still flows. Every small miracle, the quiet provision, the unexpected peace. The friend who shows up is a reminder that you are near. Lord, I confess that sometimes I have trusted more in outcomes than in you. I have equated answered prayers with your love and silence with abandonment. But that is not true. Your silence is not absence. It is often the space where you are doing the deepest work. You are not punishing me with delay. You are preparing me in ways I can yet see. You are weaving together a story that does not just fix my problems, it transforms me. And that is a trust worth having. Not trust that gets what it wants, but trust that knows you are enough. I am tired of trying to protect myself by withholding trust. It has not worked. It has only made me more anxious, more isolated, more afraid. So here I am, God, cracking open the places I have locked down. I am letting you see the rooms where disappointment settled like dust. I am inviting you into the corners where I stopped believing. I want you there not just in the polished prayers, but in the raw places, the spaces where I said I was done, the places where I have built walls. Break them down gently. Come in with grace. Help me to trust you again in relationships. Where I have been betrayed, heal my fear. Where I have been hurt, restore my courage. Where I have been let down, teach me to love without armor. Help me to trust you again in my future. Where I see only obstacles, remind me of your power. Where I feel forgotten, remind me I am known. Where I fear failure, remind me of your victory. Help me to trust you again in my own heart. Where I have doubted myself, speak your truth. Where I have carried shame, cover me in mercy. You are not rushing me, Lord. You are not demanding instant trust. You are walking with me, step by step, through the wilderness of rebuilding faith. You are the shepherd who leads gently, not the judge who scolds harshly. You wait with me. You weep with me. You whisper hope where I had only sorrow. And slowly, quietly, my heart begins to trust again, because everything makes sense. But because you are here, thank you for being patient with my process. Thank you for not despising my doubts. Thank you for calling me still. Even when I have pulled away, you know exactly how to guide me back to belief, not by force, but by love, not by demands, but by presence. That is who you are, and that is who I am learning to trust. Lord, after learning to trust you again, there is this quiet invitation in my soul, a whisper that calls me not to do more, but to be still. And I confess, it is hard. Stillness does not come naturally to me. My thoughts race ahead, always searching, always bracing. My heart beats to the rhythm of urgency and striving. Yet you call me not into chaos, but into calm. You speak not through noise, but through silence. You remind me that your strength is not found in frantic motion, but in sacred stillness. Father, I am learning that stillness is not passivity. It is not giving up. It is surrendering the illusion of control. It is not weakness. It is trust in motionless form. It is standing in the eye of the storm, knowing you hold the wind. It is breathing deep in the valley, knowing you walk beside me. Stillness is not absence of activity. It is the presence of peace. And you, God, are the Prince of Peace. So I come before you now, not with plans or strategies, but with an open heart. I quiet the noise of the world and lean in to hear you. I lay down the hammer I used to fix everything and sit still long enough to remember that I am not my own savior. You are, and you are enough, even when I feel behind, even when things do not seem to move, even when the world demands urgency. You are still God, and you are never late. Teach me to rest in you not just when I am tired, but because you are rest itself. Let me not confuse stillness with laziness. Help me see it as strength rooted in trust. A soul that knows who fights, for it does not need to claim her. A heart that knows it is held does not need to prove its worth. And a mind that is fixed on you can be still even in the whirlwind. There are places inside me, Lord, that are wary of the constant movement, the pressure to produce, the need to always understand, the fear of missing out or falling behind. But you whisper a different rhythm, one of grace, of breath, of presence. You lead me beside still waters. You restore my soul. You do not demand performance. You offer presence, and in that presence, I am made whole. God, there is a strength I have missed because I have equated it with hustle, but your strength often comes wrapped in stillness, like a seed breaking open in dark soil, unseen, like mountains standing firm, unmoved by the storm, like a heart at peace, even in unanswered prayers. That is the strength I long for, not the kind that burns out, but the kind that endures, not loud strength, but lasting strength. In this stillness, I can finally hear you say who I am, beloved, not because of what I do, but because of who you are. I can hear you remind me that being still does not mean being stuck. It means being held. And sometimes, the most powerful thing I can do is nothing, just wait. Just breathe. Just believe. You work in the waiting. You move in the silence. You heal in the hush. And in that stillness, I am safe. Lord, slow me down not to delay me, but to deepen me, not to hinder me, but to heal me. Let stillness be the place where you anchor me, not the thing I fear. Break the addiction to motion that tells me I must earn my worth. Break the cycle of overthinking that tries to solve what only faith can answer. In stillness, help me become familiar again with your voice, not as background noise, but as the very center of my being. I release the tension I carry in my chest. I unclench the fists I have kept ready to fight. I lower the guard I have kept up for too long. I let myself be still, not just on the outside, but inside, where the fears live, where the doubts whisper, where the wounds ache. I bring it all to you, not for fixing, but for holding. And somehow, in that surrender, strength is born, not the kind that roars, but the kind that roots me deeper than the storm can shake. You are not in the earthquake or the fire, but in the still, small voice. And in this stillness, I feel that voice rising, telling me I am not alone, telling me I do not have to do it all, telling me that my worth is not tied to how much I can carry. You carry me. You always have. And when I finally stop, I feel your hands beneath me, steady, sure, and strong. God, in this stillness, Help me to see what I miss in the rush, the gentle grace that carries me, the quiet miracles you hide in ordinary moments, the deep love that does not demand anything but my heart. Help me fall in love again with the simplicity of being yours. Let stillness be the soil where my faith grows roots. Let it be the well where my strength is renewed. Let it be the space where I remember that you are God, and I am not, and that is the most freeing truth of all. Lord, even as I find strength in stillness, I realize that stillness does not always bring clarity. Sometimes, I sit in the quiet and the fog remains. The path ahead is blurred. The answers do not come. The weight has not lifted. Yet something within me is different now. I do not panic in the unknown as I once did. Because now, I know you are in the fog too. Father, this foggy season tests my faith in quiet ways. It is not the storm that threatens to drown me, it is the silence that tempts me to drift. It is the lack of direction that makes me doubt. But even here, you are whispering truth. You remind me that faith is not built on perfect clarity, but on trust in your presence when I cannot see. God, help me walk when the way is hidden. Give me grace to move forward one step at a time, not waiting for certainty, but walking in obedience. You are the lamp to my feet, not a spotlight into the distance. You show me enough for now, and ask me to trust you with the next, and that is hard. My heart wants the full map. But you give me the moment, and you give me yourself. That is enough in this fog. Father, teach me to walk by faith and not by sight. Let my steps echo not with fear, but with the quiet resolve that you are near. Let me not rush to escape the fog, but learn what you are teaching me in it. The fog slows me down. It forces me to listen. It humbles me to rely. And perhaps, in this obscured place, I can finally see more clearly, not with my eyes, but with my soul. There is a tenderness to the way you walk with me here, God. When the road is clear, I tend to run ahead, but in the fog, I take your hand. I lean in. I stay close. I hang on every whisper of your voice. I notice the details I missed when I was rushing, the sound of your breath, the rhythm of your peace, the way your love holds me steady. In the haze, you become my vision, Lord. When I do not know what to do, help me keep doing the next right thing. When I feel lost, help me remember that being uncertain does not mean I am unloved. When confusion threatens to paralyze me, help me move not with confidence in my plan, but with confidence in your heart. You do not abandon me in the fog. You shape me in it. You strengthen me for what lies beyond it. This fog has stripped away what I once relied on: my own understanding, my own plans, my own control. And in the absence of those things, I have found something better: dependence on you. I no longer pretend to know everything. I simply believe that you do, and that belief gives me rest, even when the ground under my feet feels unsure. God, help me not to waste this foggy season trying to make sense of every detail. Let me focus not on clarity, but on connection, not on control, but on communion. Because in the mist, I hear your footsteps close to mine. In the gray, I feel the warmth of your light, even if I can see the flame. And in the waiting, I remember that you are writing something good. even when I can't yet read the lines. You are not just the God of the mountaintop moments. You are the God of the valleys covered in haze. You are not just present in the breakthroughs. You are with me in the in-between. The season that feels uncertain is not wasted. It is sacred. It is where you teach me to follow without formulas, to love you without guarantees, to obey when the reward is unseen. Lord, if this fog never lifts, would I still trust you? That question lingers in the corners of my mind, but you do not demand an answer. You just keep walking with me. You keep being faithful. And little by little, I realize the fog is not as thick when I keep my eyes on you. The landscape has not changed, but my heart has. I no longer fear the mystery. I welcome it as part of the journey. There is beauty here, God, even in the gray. There is grace in not knowing, in letting go, in learning that your presence is more precious than the answers I once craved, so I release my demand for immediate clarity. I rest in the assurance that you see what I cannot, and you will lead me where I need to be. In your perfect time, I will keep walking through this fog, not because I see the end, but because I trust the one who walks beside me. I will take one step, and then another, listening for your voice, watching for your hand, believing that even in the mist, I am moving toward light, toward hope, toward you. And that is more than enough. Father, the fog has slowed my steps, but now you are teaching me something deeper, still the beauty and burden of waiting. As I linger in this space between what was and what is to come, I realize that waiting is not just about time. It is about trust. It is not a pause in life. It is a place where life is shaped. Lord, waiting has never been easy for me. I want answers now. I want open doors now. I want healing, resolution, and clarity now. But you are not rushed. You are not pressured by time the way I am. You do not see waiting as wasted. You see it as sacred. And slowly, I am beginning to see it too. This season is not punishment. It is preparation. And though my heart grows weary, you are strengthening me in the stillness. God, in this waiting, help me wait well, not with bitterness or impatience, but with a spirit that watches for you. Let my waiting be active, not idle, filled with prayer, with gratitude, with faith. Let it be a place where I plant hope, not doubt, where I water trust with tears and tend to it with worship. Teach me to believe that what I cannot see yet is still worth expecting, because you are the author of time, and you never delay without purpose. Sometimes it feels like everything around me is moving, while I am stuck. I see others moving forward, crossing finish lines, receiving answers, and I wonder if you have forgotten me. But Father, remind me again that you never forsake your children. The silence does not mean you are absent. The delay does not mean denial. It simply means you are doing something unseen, something deeper, something eternal. In this waiting, I notice how my soul longs more for you than the outcome. I used to pray just for the thing I wanted, but now I pray for your presence while I wait. And in that shift, something profound has happened. The waiting has not become easier, but it has become holier, because you are here. You are here in the longing, in the quiet, in the daily discipline of showing up without seeing the reward. Lord, teach me to rest without resolution, to worship without a why, to praise before the breakthrough, to sing while the miracle is still in the making. That is the heart you are forming in me, a heart that finds joy not in what it holds, but in who holds it. You are the one who holds my time, my future, my hopes, and every unfolding chapter. So I will wait not with clenched fists, but with open hands. There is something beautiful in surrender, God. The moment I stop demanding, I start receiving. I receive peace instead of pressure. I receive presence instead of panic. And I begin to notice how you meet me here in subtle ways, in the song that speaks truth, in the friend who prays unexpectedly, in the morning light that reminds me darkness does not last. These are your whispers of love in the waiting. I will listen. Father, help me not compare my timeline to anyone else's. Help me trust that my journey is mine, and you are working in every second. Let me not resent the slowness, but revere it. Let me believe that delays are often divine, that the soil of waiting is where roots grow deep, and that you are not just preparing the promise for me, but preparing me for the promise. When I grow tired, lift my spirit. When I am tempted to quit, remind me why I started. When hope feels distant, bring to mind all the ways you have come through before. You are not just the God of sudden miracles. You are the God of slow wonders. You are working in the unseen, orchestrating details I cannot yet imagine. And so, I wait not with dread, but with expectancy. This place of pause has become a place of prayer, and in prayer, I find patience. In patience, I find peace. In peace, I find you. So while the world around me races ahead, I choose to stay in step with you, even if it means waiting longer than I wanted. I believe it will be worth it, because nothing is wasted with you, not even this waiting. And if the answers never come the way I imagine, still, I will trust you, because the gift of waiting is not only the outcome, but the intimacy it produces. It draws me nearer to you. It strips away illusions. It teaches me to live not by sight, but by faith. And faith, though invisible, carries me farther than any guarantee ever could. So here I am, Lord, still in the waiting room of your will. Not anxious, not forgotten, just held, just seen, just loved. And in that love, I rest, I breathe, I hope, I wait well, not perfectly, but honestly, because you are with me, and that is enough for today. Lord, as the waiting settles into stillness, I find myself standing at the edge of uncertainty once again. The horizon is blurry. The next step is hidden. The answers I long for remain just beyond reach. And yet, you are drawing me into a deeper surrender, a surrender, not just to the timeline, but to the unknown itself. You are asking me to trust without seeing, to walk without a map, to rest without understanding. Father, this is not a place I would choose for myself. I like clarity. I crave certainty. I want the full picture before I take a single step. But that is not how you lead. You are not a God who reveals the entire journey at once. You give me light for the step I am on. You whisper truths in today and ask me to trust you with tomorrow. And slowly, this is becoming enough. God, help me resist the urge to fill every silence with fear. Help me not to create false answers just to ease the discomfort of waiting. Let me become comfortable with mystery. Let me rest in the truth that I do not have to know everything to be held by you. You are the God of the unknown. The dark does not confuse you. The fog does not frighten you. You are already where I am going. In this uncertainty, teach me to live anchored in who you are, not in what I can predict. Let my peace be rooted not in outcomes, but in your unchanging character. You are faithful. You are good. You are wise. You are with me. These are the unshakable truths I cling to when everything else feels fragile. When the world offers illusions of control, you offer the solid ground of surrender. Lord, I confess that the unknown has often stirred up panic in me. I have tried to plan my way out of it. I have obsessed over details. I have worried myself into exhaustion. But all that striving never brought peace. Only you do. So here and now, I choose to lay down my need to figure everything out. I choose to believe that you are already at work in ways I cannot see. You go before me. You walk beside me. You are my rear guard. There is no part of my journey that escapes your care. As I sit in this space where clarity has not yet come, I ask you to awaken in me a deeper sense of presence. Let me not rush through the day with a distracted mind. Let me be here, now with you. Teach me that faith is not a formula, but a relationship. It is not built on certainty, but on trust. And trust is strengthened not by knowing the answers, but by knowing the one who holds them. Father, when the questions echo loud, what now? What next? Why this? Help me to pause and listen for your still, small voice. Even when you do not answer the way I expect, I trust that you always speak. And sometimes, silence is your language too, not of absence, but of invitation to lean closer, to slow down, to look again in the silence. You are refining my heart, not punishing it. I have learned that sometimes the unknown is not an enemy, but a sanctuary, a place where all I can do is let go, and that letting go becomes holy ground. I breathe more slowly here. I notice more deeply. I receive more freely, and I discover that I am not just waiting on an answer. I am being transformed by the waiting itself. You are not merely writing a story around me. You are shaping one within me. God, let the unknown lead me to deeper intimacy, not deeper insecurity. Let it strip away the idols I did not know I had, the idol of control, of certainty, of self-reliance. Let it break me open in a way that allows more of you to fill the space. I do not need to understand to be at peace. I only need to know you are near, and you are. Even when fear sneaks in, remind me that faith is not the absence of fear, but the choice to trust despite it. Even when the road ahead looks empty, remind me that your provision often arrives step by step. Even when I cannot trace your hand, I will trust your heart, because you are always working whether I see it or not. So today, in this quiet in-between, I choose to rest, not in my plan, but in your promise, not in what I know, but in who I know. I trust that the unknown is known by you, and that is more than enough. Let me find joy in the journey, even when the destination is unclear. Let me walk with wonder, not worry, with gratitude, not grasping. You have never led me into the unknown to abandon me. You always meet me here, and in the meeting, something sacred unfolds, not because I find the answers, but because I find you. And when I find you, I find peace. Even here, even now, Lord, in the quiet that stretches beyond what I thought could endure, I find myself waiting, still and small, beneath a sky that offers no answer. It is hard to keep believing when heaven seems closed, when my prayers rise like incense, but receive no thunderous reply. The silence becomes a room where my doubts echo loudest. And yet, I remain. Because, somehow, even when you are silent, I know you are still present. I have to believe that your silence is not absence, but rather a deeper invitation, one that calls me into a trust that does not demand immediate evidence. I return to you again, not because I have heard, but because I have not, and yet I know you are near. This moment, Father, is one I never imagined could last so long. The stillness is not peace, but a weight pressing down on every prayer. My questions remain unanswered, my struggles unresolved, and my soul feels suspended between what I hope and what I fear. But even now, I lift up my heart to you. I bring the ache of not knowing, the fatigue of waiting, the wound of hoping. I bring it all because I would rather wait in silence with you than find comfort in noise without you. God, you are not unaware of this battle. You are not blind to my tears. You see the faith I carry like a flickering candle in a storm. You see how I guard it, shielding it from every gust of doubt. You see how I whisper your name in the middle of the night, even when I do not understand. You see how I still choose you, even when it feels like you are hiding. And if this silence is meant to grow me, to root me deeper in your truth, then let it be so. Just do not let me go. Don't let me forget that even in the silence, you are still my shepherd, still my refuge, still my light. Lord, remind me of those who have walked this path before. Job, who sat in ashes, scraping his skin and asking why, yet still confessed, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. David, who cried out from caves and yet wrote psalms of praise. Jesus, who sweat blood in the garden and received no rescue from the cross. They all knew silence. They all knew pain. But they also knew you. They knew that the silence of God is not the same as the absence of God. And I want to know that too. Help me not to interpret your silence as your rejection. Help me not to confuse waiting with punishment. Let me see this season as a sacred pause, a divine space where my faith is being refined. Let it deepen my roots, not weaken my resolve. Let it teach me to listen not just for answers, but for presence. Let it train my spirit to sense you in the stillness, Let it develop in me a faith that is not dependent on emotion or immediacy, but rooted in who you are, unchanging, faithful, true. There are times I am tempted to fill this silence with my own noise, to run, to distract, to control. But instead, I want to stay here. I want to stay in this quiet place until I can hear your heartbeat again, until I can feel your breath on my soul, until I can say, even if you do not speak, I still believe. Because faith is not proven in the moments we receive, but in the moments we choose to stay. God, if this silence is a test, let it reveal my devotion, not my despair. Let it strengthen the core of who I am. Let it prove that my love for you is not conditional. Let it shout louder than any words that I am yours, even when you are quiet. Let my silence become worship. Let my waiting become surrender. Let this quiet valley become holy ground. You have not abandoned me. I know that even now, angels are stationed around me. I know that even in the silence, your spirit is interceding with groans too deep for words. I know that heaven hears what I cannot speak, and you hold every sigh, every question, every longing. I know that you are still God, even when I do not feel a thing. So I will keep showing up. I will keep speaking to you, even when I hear nothing back. I will keep lighting the lamp of prayer, even when the room remains dark, because I have seen too much of your faithfulness to turn away now. I have tasted too much of your mercy to forget. I have walked too far with you to walk away because of silence. Lord, if this season is not meant to end yet, then let it not be wasted. Let it become the soil for something eternal. Let it stretch my soul in ways that prepare me for what is coming. Let it make me ready for the next whisper, for the next door, for the next dawn. Let me be faithful in the night so I can stand steady in the light. I may not hear you, but I choose to trust you. I may not see you, but I will not stop seeking. I may not understand, but I will not stop believing. I will live in this silence not as a prisoner, but as a pilgrim. I will wait not with fear, but with sacred expectation. I will breathe deeply and rest in the mystery, because even in the unknown, you are good. So here I am, again, in the quiet, in the in the longing, not with answers, but with surrender, not with clarity, but with faith, not with comfort, but with trust. And that is enough for today. You are enough for today. Father, as the silence lingers and my soul adjusts to the absence of clear direction, I notice something stirring beneath the quiet, a quiet resolve that keeps me placing one foot in front of the other. It is not the strength I once thought I needed, bold and loud, but something gentler, more enduring, a steady hand beneath trembling knees, a whisper of courage that rises even while my heart sinks. I do not know how long I can carry this weight, but what I do know is that you carry me, and that changes everything. Each morning, I wake up feeling the heaviness before I feel hope, but then I remember, you are still here. You are not waiting for me to have it all together. You meet me in my mess, in my weariness, in my in-between. So I do not have to wait for my heart to feel strong to come to you. I come weak. I come tired. I come needing grace for every breath. And you never turn me away. You receive me with tenderness, not disappointment. You remind me that faith is not about having energy, but about having direction, and I choose you, God. This is one of those seasons where everything inside feels fragile. I question my capacity to endure. I question the pace of my growth. I see others running while I am crawling, and I wonder if I am enough. But then I recall that you are not measuring me by how fast I move, but by whether I keep moving toward you. You see the effort behind my smallest yes. You see the cost of my quiet obedience. And you say that it matters, that it is holy, that it is enough. So I rise today, not because I feel strong, but because you are strong in me. I rise not because my circumstances have changed, but because your mercy has met me again. I rise not with certainty, but with trust, and with every slow, reluctant movement toward hope. I find that your grace fills the gaps in my will. Your love catches the pieces I fear might fall. Your presence becomes the strength I no longer need to manufacture on my own. Lord, I do not need everything to feel right in order to walk in the right direction. I do not need to be fearless to move forward. I just need to believe that you are worth following, even when I limp. And I do believe that. I believe it more with each step, because when everything else feels unstable, you remain the same. When my emotions betray me, your promises hold firm. When my confidence fades, your faithfulness shines. You never ask me to impress you with stamina. You simply ask me to stay close. And that is what I want more than anything, to walk closely with you through the tension, through the uncertainty, through the exhaustion. I do not need a life free from weakness. I need a life anchored in you. And when I remember that, I stop striving and start resting. I stop pretending and start receiving. I am learning that weakness is not a curse to be hidden, but a door to intimacy. It is in my weakness that I lean harder, that I cry louder, that I reach deeper. It is in weakness that my pride crumbles and my hands open. It is in weakness that I realize just how desperate I am for you, not for what you give, but for who you are. And it is in that realization that I find peace, even when my body is tired and my mind is clouded. God, let today be one of those days where I do not rely on performance, but on presence, where I do not chase perfection, but practice dependence, where I release the burden of proving myself and instead remember that I am already known and still loved. Let me walk through this day aware that weakness can coexist with purpose, that brokenness can still birth beauty, and that you delight in every faltering step I take toward you. Even in the smallest victories, I feel your hand. In the moments I choose to breathe instead of break, you are near. In the decisions to speak life instead of give up, you are empowering me. In the pauses where I choose to pray instead of panic, you are working. And so, my weakness becomes a stage for your strength. My broken places become sacred ground for your restoration. My tears become seeds of something new, something I cannot yet see. But you are already growing. Lord, teach me not to despise my limitations. Help me see them as reminders that I was never meant to do this alone. Let me honor the truth that I am dust, and yet In your hands, I am more. Let me stop measuring myself by the strength I do not have, and start celebrating the nearness of the one who never runs out of power. You are the one who never grows weary. You are the one who renews those who wait on you. You are the one who makes the faint rise up on wings like eagles. This is not the chapter of victories and ease. This is the chapter of clinging, and that is sacred. There is glory in the grit. There is honor in staying when it would be easier to quit. There is beauty in surrendering every morning and still trying again. There is something holy about admitting I am not okay, but I still believe you are good, and I do believe, even here, even now. So I rise, slowly but surely. I rise with shaky hands but steady hope. I rise not because I have it in me, but because you pour it into me. I rise because the light is worth chasing, even when the dawn is slow. I rise because each step is a declaration that you have not given up on me. And I will not give up on you, Lord. As I gather the courage to face another day, I remember how the last step I took was not on solid ground, but on faith. And still, you held me. The steps I take now are no different. Each one feels small, even insignificant. But I know you see them as sacred. Even when the road stretches far ahead and the way is unclear, I choose to believe you walk with me. I remind myself that not everything has to be visible to be real. Not every promise has to be fulfilled immediately for it to be true. Sometimes, what you are doing in me takes place beneath the surface, in silence, in the unseen places. And even though I long for breakthroughs, for signs, for answers, I am learning to appreciate the gentle unfolding of grace. I do not always feel strong, but I know you are still holding me. I do not always feel brave, but I know you are still calling me forward. I do not always understand what you are doing, but I trust that you are still good. I remind myself that not everything has to be visible to be real. Not every promise has to be fulfilled immediately for it to be true. Sometimes, what you are doing in me takes place beneath the surface, in silence, in the unseen places. And even though I long for breakthroughs, for signs, for answers, I am learning to appreciate the gentle unfolding of grace. I do not always feel strong, but I know you are still holding me. I do not always feel brave, but I know you are still calling me forward. I do not always understand what you are doing, but I trust that you are still good. I remind myself that not everything has to be visible to be real. Not every promise has to be fulfilled immediately for it to be true. Sometimes, what you are doing in me takes place beneath the surface, in silence, in the unseen places. And even though I long for breakthroughs, for signs, for answers, I am learning to appreciate the gentle unfolding of grace. I do not always feel strong, but I know you are still holding me. I do not always feel brave, but I know you are still calling me forward. I do not always understand what you are doing, but I trust that you are still good. I remind myself that not everything has to be visible to be real. Not every promise has to be fulfilled immediately for it to be true. Sometimes, what you are doing in me takes place beneath the surface, in silence, in the unseen places, and even though I long for breakthroughs, for signs, for answers, I am learning to appreciate the gentle unfolding of grace. I do not always feel strong, but I know you are still holding me. I do not always feel brave, but I know you are still calling me forward. I do not always understand what you are doing, but I trust that you are still good. I remind myself that not everything has to be visible to be real. Not every promise has to be fulfilled immediately for it to be true. Sometimes, what you are doing in me takes place beneath the surface, in silence, in the unseen places, and even though I long for breakthroughs, for signs, for answers, I am learning to appreciate the gentle unfolding of grace. I do not always feel strong, but I know you are still holding me. I do not always feel brave, but I know you are still calling me forward. I do not always understand what you are doing, but I trust that you are still good. I remind myself that not everything has to be visible to be real. Not every promise has to be fulfilled immediately for it to be true. Sometimes, what you are doing in me takes place beneath the surface, in silence, in the unseen places, and even though I long for breakthroughs, for signs, for answers, I am learning to appreciate the gentle unfolding of grace. I do not always feel strong, but I know you are still holding me. I do not always feel brave, but I know you are still calling me forward. I do not always understand what you are doing, but I trust that you are still good. I remind myself that not everything has to be visible to be real. Not every promise has to be fulfilled immediately for it to be true. Sometimes, what you are doing in me takes place beneath the surface, in silence, in the unseen places, and even though I long for breakthroughs, for signs, for answers, I am learning to appreciate the gentle unfolding of grace. I do not always feel strong, but I know you are still holding me. I do not always feel brave, but I know you are still calling me forward. I do not always understand what you are doing, but I trust that you are still good. I remind myself that not everything has to be visible to be real. Not every promise has to be fulfilled immediately for it to be true. Sometimes, what you are doing in me takes place beneath the surface, in silence, in the unseen places, and even though I long for breakthroughs, for signs, for answers, I am learning to appreciate the gentle unfolding of grace. I do not always feel strong, but I know you are still holding me. I do not always feel brave, but I know you are still calling me forward. I do not always understand what you are doing, but I trust that you are still good, Lord. As the morning light deepens its hue and quietness surrounds me like a tender cloak, I continue to draw near with the same expectancy that has grown through every breath I have lifted to you. In the stillness that lingers after the breakthrough, in the sacred hush that follows the battle, I begin to realize that you are not only the one who delivers, but the one who delights in abundance. My heart, once pleading for enough to survive, now dares to believe in overflow. This, Father, is where I begin to glimpse your nature, not just as a rescuer, but as a giver beyond measure. God, you have always been the well that never runs dry. But today, I see more clearly that you are not content with me living on the edge of lack. You are the God of pressed down, shaken together, and running over. I feel it in the way peace no longer comes in drops, but like rivers that flood every anxious shore. I sense it in how my joy does not flicker with circumstance, but rises like a tide that refuses to recede. You are teaching me that your love is not rationed out in careful pieces. It is lavish, like spring rains over dry earth, like baskets of bread and fish with more left after feeding thousands. Father, I did not come asking for this excess. I came asking only for relief. But you, in your goodness, answer with surplus. You gave not just the strength to endure, but the grace to dance. You poured not just calm over my storms, but laughter in the aftermath. You did not just lift the burden. You dressed me in praise and clothed me in celebration. You showed me that you are not bound by the measure of my prayers, but moved by the fullness of your mercy. I stand here now, surprised by joy, because I did not think I could feel this much hope again. Lord, I remember when I prayed for a crack in the clouds, and now I walk beneath wide skies. I remember when I begged for a whisper of comfort, and now your voice thunders with compassion. I remember when I asked for just enough light to take the next step, and now you flood my path. Your generosity embarrasses my expectations. You turned scarcity into story, mourning into melody, and questions into worship. It is not just that you answered me, it is how you answered that leaves me undone. You have written yes upon my life in ways I never imagined to ask. And still, God, you do not stop. You keep pouring. Even now, I feel you nudging my heart not to clutch the blessing, but to carry it outward. This overflow was never meant to pool around my feet, but to run into dry places, into weary hearts, into souls that have forgotten what abundance feels like. This is not just about me. This is about your kingdom, about your glory, about rivers flowing in deserts and seeds sprouting in wastelands. You have turned my cup into a vessel of renewal for others. You fill, not for indulgence, but for impact. So now, Father, I ask you to teach me how to steward the overflow. Teach me how to live not as one barely surviving, but as one deeply rooted in your abundance. May I become a wellspring of encouragement, a bearer of burdens, a teller of miracles. Let the abundance that now sings in my spirit overflow into the lives of those around me. Let my home be a place of peace. Let my words be soaked in grace. Let my steps carry the fragrance of your goodness. I want to walk as one who knows you intimately, who trusts you extravagantly, who shares you boldly. Lord, this overflow is not the end of the journey, but the beginning of a deeper surrender, because abundance brings a new temptation, the temptation to forget. But I will not forget. I will not forget the sleepless nights that taught me to cling to you. I will not forget the days when all I had was the whisper of your promise. I will not forget the silence that trained me to listen. I will remember that everything I now hold is a gift from your hand, Nothing I possess is mine by right, but all of it is mine by grace. So, with hands open and heart surrendered, I receive it all, but I hold none of it too tightly. Because the more you give, the more I want to remain dependent. The more you pour out, the more I want to stay low. The more you lift me, the more I want to kneel. Keep me in that place where blessing does not breed pride, but deepens worship, where increase does not inflate self, but magnifies you, where overflow is not a possession to be stored, but a river to be shared. Father, let this overflow become the evidence of a life laid down. Let it prove not my worth, but your faithfulness. Let every answered prayer echo back to you in praise. Let every open door become an altar. Let every healed place be a testimony. I do not need more than you, but you, in your love, choose to give more than I dared hope for. So I will live with open arms and an awakened soul. I will walk through this day with wonder, watching for glimpses of your generosity tucked in moments I might have missed before. And when I see them, those small kindnesses, those quiet provisions, those gentle reminders, I will not take them for granted. I will recognize them as the overflow of a heart that cannot help but bless. A heart that is yours, a heart that beats in every sunrise and sings in every breeze. A heart that has made its home inside of mine. Father, even as I marvel at the abundance you have poured into my life, I realize that walking in the overflow is not only about receiving it, is about moving forward with responsibility, with humility, and with intentionality. Yesterday's blessings were not meant to become today's resting place, but fuel for the road ahead. I feel you gently shifting my gaze not backward in reflection, but forward in purpose. You are reminding me that the overflow is not stagnant water to admire, but a flowing stream to follow. I do not walk alone, and this journey with you continues beyond comfort and into calling. God, thank you for the grace that strengthens not just my spirit, but also my steps. I sense you inviting me into deeper waters, not to overwhelm me, but to mature me. You are calling me to trust you with what I carry, to not just be grateful, but to be faithful. This new day carries fresh mercy, yes, but also new assignments. You have entrusted me with peace, so I might bring it into places that still wrestle with storms. You have given me hope not to hoard, but to plant in fields that look barren. You have spoken life into me, and now you whisper, speak life to others. Lord, the weight of that invitation is not lost on me. I know I cannot walk it out in my own strength, but the same power that lifted me from weariness will walk beside me in witness. The same spirit that comforted me in silence will now guide me through noise. I do not step into this day in my own name, but in yours. And because you go before me, I do not fear what is unknown. I do not tremble at the uncertain path. I take courage, not because the road is easy, because your presence is steady. Father, help me to see this day not as an obstacle to get through, but as an opportunity to lean into you more deeply. Let me carry the overflow not as a trophy of triumph, but as a living stream of your character. When I feel the temptation to coast, to grow complacent in comfort, stir my spirit again. Fan the flame of purpose within me. Let not abundance dull my hunger for you, but deepen my dependence. I never want to grow so satisfied with what you have done that I stop longing for who you are. Let this grace I have received manifest in action. Let my hands become tools of compassion. Let my voice become an echo of truth. Let my presence bring light where shadows linger. Use me, not just as a recipient, but as a representation of your goodness in a world so desperate for signs of your reality. May people not just hear about your love from me, may they feel it in how I serve, how I forgive, how I listen, how I choose joy even when circumstances press in. Lord, you have entrusted me with more than blessings. You have entrusted me with influence, and I pray that I carry it with humility. I ask you to keep my heart uncluttered by ego, undistracted by applause, undeterred by rejection. Let me do the next right thing, not for reward, but out of reverence. Let my obedience not be selective or conditional, but full and immediate. Whether it is to speak up or remain silent, to stay or to go, to lead or to follow, let me yield to your promptings without resistance. God, I sense that each step today holds sacred possibility. Every conversation may be a divine appointment. Every interruption could hold eternal significance. Every task, no matter how ordinary, may be a canvas for your glory. Help me to live alert, to listen for your whispers in the mundane, to see your fingerprints in the overlooked. Let me not miss the miracles hidden in what the world calls routine. Teach me that faithfulness is not flashy, but steadfast. It is often quiet, often unseen, but always noticed by you. As I walk in this overflow, teach me to rest without retreating, to work without striving, to give without calculating. You have shown me that when I pour out from the abundance you provide, I never run dry. The more I give, the more you fill. The more I serve, the more you sustain. It is a rhythm of grace, a flow of heaven that defies logic but fuels life. This is how I want to live, not clinging, not fearing lack, but releasing, trusting that you are the source that never stops flowing. Lord, I think about those around me who are still waiting for their own breakthrough. Those who are still walking through shadows while I now stand in light. Help me to carry them, to intercede for them, to believe for them when their hope feels thin. Let my overflow reach them not to boast, but to bless. Let it be evidence that you are not finished writing stories, that you still lift up, still restore, still make a way. Let my life become a testimony that stirs faith in others, not just in what you have done, but in what you can still do. Father, I lay this day before you not with anxiety, but with anticipation, not with pressure, but with praise. I ask you to walk with me in each decision, to keep my conscience tender, to guard my motives, to align my desires with your will. Let integrity guide my choices. Let discernment sharpen my steps. Let kindness govern my tone. Let wisdom season my words. And above all, let love be the motive behind every action, every pause, every yes and every no. Thank you, God, for not only hearing my cries in the valley, but for calling me forward now with vision from the mountaintop. You are not just a rescuer from the past, you are a revealer of purpose for the present. You are not done. You are unfolding more than I imagined. And though I do not know all that lies ahead, I know the one who leads me, and that is enough. So I take this step not blindly, but boldly, not alone, but accompanied, not wondering if you will meet me, but knowing you are already ahead. My soul remains open, my spirit stays tuned, my heart continues surrendered. May this day reflect the overflow you have written into my life, and may the story you are telling through me bring honor to the one who began it all. Father, as the final stretch of this morning prayer gently unfolds, I pause in this quiet space not to end, but to breathe in the stillness you have created between heartbeats. I feel the nearness of your presence, like soft light resting upon a window pane just before the sun fully rises. Every word that has been spoken, every longing that has been whispered, every tear that has been released into the shelter of your presence now settles into this sacred moment. It is not the conclusion of a prayer, it is the continuation of trust. Lord, you have been here through every breath, through every line, through every aching and every rejoicing. You have walked with me through valleys of surrender and lifted me to mountaintops of revelation. You have given not only strength but softness, not only instruction but tenderness. You have spoken in winds and in whispers, and every time I leaned in, I found you ready. And now, as the morning stretches out before me, I carry you with me into what is next, not just in memory, but in motion. God, I do not ask for clarity in all things, but I do ask for your nearness in all things. Let my journey today be shaped not by performance, but by presence. Let me move from this place not because the prayer has ended, but because it has rooted itself so deeply within me that I no longer speak, that I live it. Let it guide how I enter rooms, how I face setbacks, how I celebrate victories, how I wait with patience, and how I rise with courage. Let this prayer become the breath behind my decisions, the stillness beneath my pace. Thank you for shaping this morning into more than a routine, more than a ritual. You have made it a sanctuary, a holy dialogue between the finite and the eternal. Every word offered was not wasted. Every silence held weight. Every sigh carried sacred purpose. You caught it all, wrapped it in grace, and now return it to me transformed. I feel lighter, clearer, more centered, not because life has changed, but because I am anchored in you. There were moments along the way, Lord, when the path felt steep, the night too long, or the questions too loud. But you walked with me. You reminded me that you are not bound by my circumstances, that hope is not delayed, it is just unfolding, and faith is not weakness, it is choosing to keep walking when sight fails. You have taught me that even when I do not know how, I can still believe you will. And now I stand, not because I understand everything, because I trust the one who sees everything. As this final chapter flows gently to its close, I look around at the quiet echoes of all we have shared. There is a reverence here, a holy hush that asks me not to rush, but to rest. There is no need for grand endings, no need for loud declarations, just this simple truth. You are good, and you are near, and that is enough. That has always been enough, and it will continue to be enough, even when the prayer is no longer spoken aloud, but lived in silence, choice by choice. for those who have journeyed through this prayer with me. I speak gratitude over them. Thank you for sitting with these words, for giving space to the Spirit to move within you. Your heart matters. Your prayers matter. Your story is being written in the ink of grace. Wherever you are right now, whether weary or refreshed, seeking or celebrating, know that your presence in this space was not by accident. You were meant to be here. You were meant to receive. And you are being carried forward in love. If these words have spoken to your soul, I invite you to leave your own prayer, your own reflection, your own hope below. Let this place become more than a monologue. Let it become a sanctuary of voices, a well of encouragement where others may draw strength and feel seen. What you share may be the very thing that lights someone else's way. Don't underestimate the power of your voice when aligned with faith. And if you have not already, I encourage you subscribe to this channel. Share this prayer with someone who may need a reminder that God is still near, still listening, still supplying every need. Don't let this be a one-time visit. Let this become part of your rhythm, your renewal, your daily realignment with heaven's heartbeat. There will be more to come. More prayers, more hope, more reasons to believe again. This is not the end. This is a doorway, a sunrise, a beginning wrapped in blessing, the kind of beginning that moves you quietly but surely forward, like a breeze brushing gently against your face, like the sound of still water at the break of dawn, like the very first warmth of morning light kissing the horizon. You are not alone, and you never have been. Keep walking. Keep believing. The light is rising, and grace is flowing.